It's 2:17 British Standard Time. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Grazer Westminster live stream. It's Coffee with Con. My name is Konstantin. We talk everything Nikon on this live chat. And for some of you who join us for the first time, you're welcome to join the live chat, Like, just come there. There's a lot of people in the chat who love Nikon, who love photography, and they will be able, first of all, to help you maybe with the choice of equipment, and I can answer your questions as well. You can also discuss all the latest Nikon news and all other photographic subjects in the chat as well. So definitely do join the chat. I recommend that. Hello, everyone who joined us today. Hello, Simon, George, J. Blue, John Hughes, John Rayleigh, Dr. Goldman, who is waiting in Perth, Western Australia. Wow, that's far away. I will make it to Perth one day. We have friends live there, so it's on mine and my wife's list to do. Len Oshman, Vahography, Rundle, Jacob, Per Elison, Eric Laurie, Magnus, David Moscora, Terry Island, Andy Hayter, Michael Reed, Per Snellman, Nick Harrison, Richard Holland, Colin Brahma, Tadiusz, fantastic. Everyone's here. All the higher angler, Michael Landley, William Rickford. Fantastic. Happy to see you all. Javier as well. Viat as well. Brilliant. Okay. So what we're going to do first, couple of things to mention. First of all, Nikon promotions. They ended on Monday, 31st of March. So there's big discounts in UK and Europe. I'm not sure about the United States, but maybe as well. So definitely, if you were planning to buy some equipment, then it would be the right time to do so, because generally those promotions are seasonal. So I think the next one is probably going to be sometime around summer. So there's going to be quite a gap between those things. It's end of financial year for Nikon, so that will come into play a little bit later in the discussion later on about the rumors and things like this. The coffee fund is open. I'm going to have a coffee with you as well, because as usual, Grazer Westminster is busy on Fridays. We prepare lots of things in the shop. People come and visit us and saying hello. So definitely, if you are coming to London, come and say hello to us. We are happy to meet you. Thank you very much. Jay Blue, who says happy Friday, Con. It's good to see you again. Enjoy the coffee. I definitely will. And apologies if I'm going to kind of sleep an occasional cough every now and then. Unfortunately, I got cold about a month ago, and it's kind of still lingering, unfortunately. I've recovered, but I do cough when I talk a lot. So there's no... unfortunately out for me on this one, so I have to kind of go with the flow on this one. That's that. Now what else we're going to have? I can share with you, Gray asked me to share with you the new image, the front cover of the Nikon Owner magazine. So let me share that with you as well. So while we're here, while we're starting all that. Nikon Owner is running a promotion on Gold digital subscription, which is, I think it's it's £10 off. So it's 79 and you get Con Live chat, Con Live discount code where you get £10 off. And apparently people who joined before the end of the March, they also receive additional £10 gift voucher to use at Grazer Westminster shop as well. So have a look at this, and those are some beautiful bears. There's mama bears, and they're probably brother and sister bears. So I can share those with you. That will come out probably in a month or so. So, but I think it's a very beautiful cover, very, very cute. Now, Coffee Fund is open. Thank you very much. Next week, I have more news for you. Next week, we're going to have on Friday a Nikon roadshow full of surprises with Bruno Morari, and Bruno will be joining me next week on Friday for the live stream. So this is just a quick announcement. So some of you probably kind of saw Bruno on our channel quite a few times. He's a cameraman, videographer, as well as Nikon tech guy. So he will be able to answer all your technical questions. Doesn't matter if it's still a video, but it's one of the things. So if you have some super technical questions, he will be able to answer them. Obviously, he can't comment on anything that is not announced, but maybe he will be able to share his perspective at least. So those are the interesting things. That's going to happen next week. I thought the other day as well, we haven't done a photography challenge as well. So I think if you have suggestions for our next photography challenge, maybe it's worth discussing as well today. And we've got 3 weeks of photography news. So I guess let's start with the Nikon Z5 Mark II. We, in the past, kind of had a discussion on what can we expect from Nikon Z5 Mark II. Obviously, when it's going to be announced, it seems like, according to Nikon Rumours, we're going to see announcement on 2nd of April, which is next Wednesday. And according to them, it's going to be a mini Z9, or mini Z6 III, pardon me. So, question for me, from me to you, is tell me, like, did those kind of rumors about the specs and things, change your opinion about this camera? Did it change your opinion on the price of that camera as well? So let's discuss all this. I can share my opinion on that. When we started our first discussion, we thought, well, what's going to happen then with the, like, if Z5 was a camera that used to be kind of under certain price point, it came out about $12.99, and I think eventually settled about $9.99 kind of mark, and then, you know, if they had promotions and things like this. In current day and age, obviously time have changed, years passed, we had kind of increased inflation happened and things like this, so just kind of, prices have increased, and generally I don't think that they will be able to hit a $12.99 price point. So that's my thinking about it. So the question is, what do you think the price is going to be? Are we going to look at $1,500, let's say, dollars or pounds, or is it going to go towards 1,700, 1,800 pounds, etc.? Now, another thing is, obviously, if we start to think that what can they include in the camera itself, it seems like the X-Speed 7 is generally something that we can potentially, I think it's a given, really. So overall, I don't think that's, I don't think they would include X-Speed 6 at this point. So, but it also tells me that effectively Z5 Mark II comes out with X-Speed 7. We kind of went full circle from having X-Speed 7 in Z9, their flagship camera, the most expensive camera, to their cheapest full-frame camera. So, and obviously we now have X-Speed 7 in Z50 Mark II, which is a DX camera as well. And I think it's safe to say that the next DX camera, whatever it will be, let's say ZFC Mark II or Z30 Mark II, will have X-Speed 7 in there. And it's just the question is, okay, if we've kind of completed that cycle of releases, are we going to see an X-Speed 8 at some point in the future as well? So all sorts of opinions and thoughts here. So let's unwrap all this in the chat. I want to hear your opinions. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly go through your questions. So if you have a question for me, put QQQ right in front of the question so I can kind of filter them out. This show is all about you. When I talk to you, it's a kind of radio style show, but with me just basically blabbing for 1 hour into the camera. But if there's no question, if there's no interaction in the chat, there's no show really. So kind of you audience is kind of a big participant in that. So definitely go wild in the chat. As usual, no profanity and no politics. But let's go and check your comments here. So Simon Ma, as usually, starts off our chat and he says, "Good morning, Con from Toronto, Canada. Question, what are your insights into Z5 Mark II specs, and is it really needed in today's market since Z6 III? Have a great show and enjoy the coffee." So I can't really, let's say, whatever is out publicly, that's probably a good indication of what's going to come with the camera. Unfortunately, I don't have anything more to say on this matter. The question is, obviously, if it's a mini Z6 III, where Z6 II is going to be? That's the thing. I can tell you that there's going to be a Nikon price reduction happening on 1st of April on certain models. Z6 III, D850, so those will have a price slightly reduced. So at the moment you're getting discounts on those when you're buying them via the spring promotion. Obviously that will end on 1st of April, but there will be a reduction in price on 1st of April. What is going to be, unfortunately, the thing about this is the market will dictate, because Nikon just reducing their price. What internet does with their price in competition, it's a different story. So we will see a reduction anything from, let's say, 100, 200 pounds on there, which is going to be kind of a similar to discounts we currently get with the current advertisements, but this is kind of the idea behind it. That just tells me if Z6 III goes down in price, where Z5 Mark II has to be. not to compete with Z6 III as well. That's the thing. And then where Z6 II is going to be, because if Z5 Mark II is mini Z6 III, it means that it probably will be better than Z6 Mark II. You see where it kind of becomes quite, I would say, confusing, because, well, would Z5 II then be higher in price than Z6 II? You know, technically it's kind of, if you look at the kind of model lineup, it should be under, but in price it might be higher. So all sorts of things that may happen. And this is something that we need to see, and it will depend on when Z5 Mark II will be announced. If we believe that it will be announced next Wednesday on 2nd of April, it kind of coincides with the end of financial year for Nikon, which ends on 31st of March. So it means like a new financial year, new announcement, and I assume that Nikon tends to release their cameras within a month from the announcement. So I assume that we probably will see the camera then around, let's say, early May, mid-May. You know, so they've done 2 weeks in advance as well, so 2 weeks shipping lead as well. So who knows? But here's kind of my thoughts on your question, as well as additional information. Hopefully it helps for us to kind of gather and kind of observe the landscape and see what's happening there. Jay Blue mentioned the daylights. So yes, for you in North America, I think we are running about an hour late. In UK, it's still 2 o'clock British Standard Time. That's all going to change next week. It's going to go back to normal for very simple reason, because this Sunday we will change our clocks, so we're going to kind of sync up with you guys in North America. So that's that. So 2 weeks of kind of weird thing. I know that some of you woke up early last week and had to spend an hour having additional nap, but it's all going to go back to normal next wec. So that's that. Randall is in the chat. He says, hello everyone, using Canon FD 50mm 1.4 on the Nikon Z8 with a Photo-C adapter. Okay, this adapter will also work with L mount lenses, Sony E mount, and of course Canon RF mount as well, Photo-C adapters and one lens. That's cool. I also saw that in the news that Viltrox released a Sony to Z adapter as well. So that joins other companies as well. So there's plenty of choice there, which is quite interesting. So again, for some of you who are in video side of things, obviously Red cameras now have Z mount adapter as well, which is quite interesting. And that means that you can choose, if you're coming from Sony system, you can put your Sony lenses on Komodo camera, Red cameras and things like this. Red also announced the price drop on the Komodo 6K, which is not Komodo X, cameras with RF mount, which is also an interesting thing. RF mount is Canon mounts. The price has been dropped to $3,000 from I think $5,000, which is also interesting. And it kind of raised the questions: will Nikon release new Red cameras with RF mount or not? Excuse me. My thinking behind this is I don't see the reason why they won't continue releasing RF mount, because there was a partnership with Canon where they had even autofocus on that mount, but I think it's a 50-50 chance that Nikon will say, no, we're not going to release RF mount. We want people to come and buy Nikon Z mount system cameras. I don't know. That's the thing. But I think the whole RF thing with the Red cameras is Canon shared their autofocus system with Red, and Red provided the mount for RF mount for Red cameras. Obviously, the Red won't need that from Canon anymore because now Nikon owns them. But at the same time, I personally think that since Red producing cameras with different mounts, including PL mount and L mount, I don't see why not, because the more people you will get into your system, the more chance you'll get to, for people to upgrade into Z mount lenses eventually, and we have plenty of them. So that's what it is. Let's go through further questions here. There's a chat in Russian I can see in live chat. I think, we're all going to start to speak Russian soon with the whole political situation in the USA, warming up to Russia. Don't feel good about it. That's my personal opinion. I was born in Russia, so just, I don't understand what's going on there. So too close to home. Back to photography. Hello from Sweden. Let's go further there. Eric is asking questions. Are the small batteries on camera like D850 just no good in the extreme cold conditions, -10, -20 or below? Would I need a grip attached with a larger battery to ensure sufficient power? All batteries are not performing well at extreme temperatures like -10 degrees Celsius. So whatever is in Fahrenheit. So all batteries will perform more or less the same. Their life will shorten because of this. And the advice there is to get as many spare batteries as you can. You can technically get a battery grip if you want to. So that's effectively you having 2 batteries now in the camera. So instead of 1, but you could just get several spare batteries and keep them warm and just charge them overnight. That's my advice there. Nothing changed, let's say, from D850 to Z8, let's say, or to D100 per se, So any camera will not perform as well in cold conditions regardless. So while for normal use, let's say we would say get a spare battery regardless, for cold use, somewhere, let's say in Norway and just somewhere where it's cold in general, I would suggest to get 2 or 3 spare batteries just to be on the safe side more than anything else. Hello, Javier from Bilbao. Let's go further. Simon, thanks for saying that sound and streaming is good. So that's good. I forgot to ask. So you reminded me of this. Let's see if I'm going to catch up with you with your comments here, and then we'll go further towards that 5 discussion. Let's see. So yeah, so we're going to change our clocks. That's good. Jay is going to photograph wading birds in Florida on Friday next week. Fantastic. Share some shots. Do you think wildlife is a good photography challenge topic for next month, or do you think we should go towards street photography maybe, or street life, or travel photography? Definitely let me know in the comments below. J Blues also says that that Mark II, he's expecting XP7 processor there, non-stuck BSI sensor, IBIS, dual SD card slots, and the price of 1,300. Okay, so Z5, original Z5, was a mini Z6 II. However, the sensor wasn't the same as on the Z6 II. So I think one was BSI, one was FSI, if I'm not mistaken. Could be wrong. It's been a while. So one way, I guess, to keep the price lower is to use the same Z5 sensor. However, if they're going to add, let's say, a ZF sensor, and the rumor is kind of that Z5 Mark II is going to be basically like not like a mini Z6 III, but more like a ZF. Because if ZF is more like Gen 2.5 and Z6 III is more Gen 3 camera, so the kind of rumor and discussion is going to be will Z5 basically be a ZF but in the modern shell. And if that's the case, it's going to use the same sensors on Z6 III and ZF effectively. So who knows? But that means that the price is going to go up. And that's where my thinking is, that's where it's going to be, and then where the price of Z6 III is going to be as well. Marcus is saying better autofocus XP7 frame rate goes from 7 to 9, all 24 megapixel sensor. So the frame rate, if you're going to get an XP7 and the new BSI sensor, so the same as on ZF and Z6 III, then we're going to get quite a significant improvement over previous generation. I think the previous generation was about 5-6 frames per second, if I'm not mistaken. So that would give us, if you got an old sensor, I don't know what the limitations of the old sensor is more than anything else. So that's where the situation, it's a readout speeds and things like this. So who knows? So there are 2 ways we can kind of go around it. Riget is in the chat as well. Thanks for watching us, and yes, you too have a great weekend. Let's go further down the road, and let's see okay, here we go. I'm back to the chat. It's refreshed and it's just dropped everything. A couple of comments down. Here we go. Got Rick's comment. Here we are. Jim is saying, understand your love for shooting Nikon FM3A. I shot 2 rolls of Ecto 100 and Water Blast. Ecto 100 is a very good film. It's one of the sharpest films with the finest grains on the market, with a very vivid color palette. So if you do find, let's say, portrait look a bit blunt, which some people love for the pastel colors, especially when you add overexposure to it, then Akhtar is very high saturated vivid colors. So not amazing, let's say, for skin tones, but for nature, it's absolutely amazing. And yeah, I love my Akhtar. When I travel, I do shoot a lot of Akhtars, especially on medium format, is amazing. And yeah, generally, when I go somewhere where it's nice and warm, like I went to Tenerife 3 weeks ago, where it was 23 plus Celsius, so it was nice and lots of sun compared to England. I was basically shooting Akhtar 100 and golden medium format, and that was absolutely fantastic. So I do love a good Akhtar. I can tell you that it's very underrated, I would say, film stock. Okay, Jacob is updating us on his on his gig photography. He said, a great first experience. I also met a bunch of people who want their events photographed. Here you go. Networking, absolutely fantastic. The more you do it, you're not just going to learn the photography side of things. You're going to meet a lot of people. And could be from photographers to performance. And that's a good networking opportunity where you may get some few jobs lined up later on. So absolutely fantastic. Congratulations, Jacob. Jay Blue has suggestion for the next photo challenge: spring flowers, Northern Hemisphere, fall foliage, Southern Hemisphere. Jay, I'm not Becky. I think it's going to be tough for me to see millions of submissions of flowers. So I personally think that maybe we're going to do some flower photography. Keep taking them now, but maybe if we can free up Becky for one of the live streams at the end of the month, maybe following month later, then we'll do a flower photography challenge, because otherwise I'm going to be suffering through that. I love macro photography as a next man, but I think, let's do something else this month. That's the thing. But thanks for the suggestion. I will write it down definitely for one of the further months challenges. Yeah, the last one we did was end of December, I think. Russell saying, happy Friday from Houston. Let's get Z5 Mark II and bring some new young users into the ecosystem. Exactly the point of this camera, I guess, not to be exciting in terms of tech, but brings the camera to a certain price point. And I think if they manage to do that, that's where we'll start to see definitely an increase of market share from Nikon. And as we discussed before, the cheaper cameras sell more for any brand, and that helps to increase your share of the business, and that hopefully will help for Nikon to sell more lenses as well. So that's why it's important. I think that's why it's important for this camera to appear so soon. Because, yeah, I didn't expect it to happen so soon, personally. I thought we're going to see it around June, maybe July. But it seems like if the rumors are correct, we will see the announcement next week. Indy says, wildlife would be great. Okay. I think we'll put everything to the vote later on. Greg says, some possible photo challenge topics for consideration: reflections, light and dark, motion, water. Your hometown. I think your hometown is probably something that I think is fantastic. Your hometown. I'm going to write this down. I love this one. I can tell you that London is my hometown for the last 20 plus years. And it was interesting when I came here first, and I was really excited to photograph everything. And now it's much harder for me to photograph the same place. And it was the same from back home. When I was growing up, I didn't find it absolutely exciting to photograph the mundane day-to-day stuff. When I was coming back, and I haven't been there since before COVID, actually. So I found it a lot more interesting, because obviously I haven't been there for a while, and the way I look at things changed because I live in a different reality, effectively, in different parts of the world, effectively. It definitely changed my perspective on things that I grew up with, and made me appreciate certain things as well, which is, so Greg, thanks for sharing this. I think it goes on the list of the people to vote for later on. Let's see further comments here. John just spent 2 days in his new hide and got 0 images. Well, patience is the key here, John. I'm sure it will come to you eventually. Nigel's asking, why has the 18D never had price reduction. None of the batteries had price reductions, Nigel. It's, accessories generally don't see price reductions, unfortunately. And the D version is their current batteries. So the only time we'll see a price reduction when we'll see a next letter in that battery lineup, which is going to be E, I guess. And that probably would happen when Z9 Mark II will be announced. So that's the thing. I think we see price reductions on cameras and lenses. Accessories generally don't get such treatments. But I'm sure you can pick up probably in L18C at a cheaper price if they're still available online somewhere brand new. Let's go further down the road and see more of your questions and comments in the chat. Craig C says, happy to announce I finally got my 18600 lens. Longest lens I ever had, was topping out 200mm for the last few years. Looking forward to getting outside this year. Well, Craig C, I think if people vote for Wildlife Photography Challenge, that would be a perfect opportunity for you to get out and take some pictures. And hopefully the weather is good as well where you are. So definitely congratulations. Please share some images with me. You can email it to media@graceofwestminster.co.uk. I would love to see them. Photography Adventure says Nikon needs to produce more DXZ mount lenses, and with VR they are lacking in that department. I agree. We've definitely discussed that. The mysterious Z500 or D500 replacement chart is still ongoing several years later. So yes, I absolutely agree with you. Obviously, it looks like we're going to see a full frame camera. But if we start to think what's going to come next, I think at that point, unless the Z7 Mark III happens, it looks like we probably will see some DX announcements after that. So that's my thinking behind it. Do you think, what lenses do you think Nikon should release for Nikon DXZ lineup? Please let me know in the comments below, Photography Adventures. I'd appreciate this. We're going to read them out and we can discuss further. All right. Andy says, my hometown would be a highway. Well, the thing about my hometown, it could be environmental portraiture, it could be a landscape, it could be a cityscape, it could be a macro photography, it could be all sorts of things. So I think one of the point of this being is, yes, as I said, we do find places where we live a bit mundane because we spend a lot of time there. So, I think the point is to kind of get yourself out of the comfort zone and kind of reintroduce yourself to your day-to-day surroundings and try to see something different in it. And I think that's where the challenge comes in. The photography part is also a challenge, but I think the first part where you kind of have to introduce and find details that you find interesting, that is, I think, more important than actual photography in this challenge. So that's why I really like that idea. Highway could be interesting. Andy, could be interesting. But again, it's all going to be up for a vote later on. So very interesting. Okay, Nigel says, I vote for my hometown. Would be interesting as we have such diverse locations, people in the chat. Exactly. We have people from all over the world. So obviously we are based in the United Kingdom. We have people watching from Europe, from North America, from Australia, New Zealand, Asia, all sorts of things, and places. It could be very interesting. That's the thing. And I would love to see where you all live, not your houses, but the areas, So I find it fascinating. So yeah, definitely. I might join you on this challenge, actually. It seems like I'm selling it, but you're going to be the one, people who voting for the challenge. So maybe we'll move it for the next month. Who knows? It'll be all dependent. J Blue says, my hometown is boring. That's the thing. That's the challenge. That's the challenge. Find that what's different and what makes your hometown special. It's I think it's interesting. Definitely very interesting. Let's go through more of your questions here. So shall we do the poll on the price of Z5 Mark II? Let's do this. Nikon Z5 Mark II price. So let's say, so we had a 1300. Yeah, okay. So shall we do like 1300 as a starting point? I'm going to go to, let's say, 1500. and then we're going to go to, let's say, 1700. So let me know, what do you think the Z5 Mark II is going to be priced at? I want to see your thoughts on it. And the reason why we all ask about this price is this will show more of a kind of your understanding where you think Nikon should be. And when the price comes out, we will see what Nikon thinks it should be. So, you know, because obviously, like from customer point of view, you want everything to be as cheap as possible. I want Z5 Mark II to be at $999. You know, I don't think it's going to happen personally. So I think 1300 with a kind of few years of inflation and price increases, I think it makes sense to be minimum at that price. But if we start to understand that, according to rumors, yes, so that 5.2 becomes mini Z6 III or ZF, then I don't think they can do it at a low price because, let's see, like let's say the price of Z6 III nowadays, let's see, B&H, let's just go United States. It looks like it's $2,200 plus tax, obviously, and ZF is priced at $1,800. So I think that Z5 Mark II can't be the same price as ZF because ZF is a retro and it's more of a premium, you know, let's say the way Nikon positions is. So, but it would be 15 or 1700, it would be 1300. So, according to your votes, people think it's going to be about $1,500. That's 50% of you, so half of you voted for that. And then 33% voted for $1,300 price mark, and only 15% of you voted for $1,700. I want to know your thoughts on why did you vote this as a price? What's your justification for the price? In the comments below. So let's. I'm going to end the poll here. So and yeah, definitely let me know in the comments. Let's discuss this further. Okay. Let's go further and see your comments here. David Moscora says, just have an open challenge, film, digital, street, wildlife, whatever floats your boat. The problem with this is logistics and personal time. At the moment, I work about 80, 90 hours a week because effectively I work on 2 projects right now. So here and the other project that I do, which gets busier and busier. So I unfortunately can't do a million things and I don't have an assistant. So having one specific thing, even challenge on itself from time logistics side of things is already a lot to take. So having more things, it just becomes too complicated, David. And I wish we would have a team to handle all this and I just show up and do this. But I do the submissions and all this and, I arrange everything for live stream, etc. So can't do that, I'm afraid. So this is the reason why we have to kind of choose one, and then maybe the next month or the following month we'll choose another one. So just to keep it simple. It also brings people to choose one topic, and maybe if they want to participate, if they want to be part of the challenge, then they can take themselves out of kind of the box and just try to do something that they don't normally do. That's the thing. If we keep it open, then everyone just will find the easiest way. So, that's what it is. That's why I like the challenge. The challenge there for a reason. Let's say this. And we want you to take those pictures during the challenge, not before, like we kind of lenient on this, but ideally I want your current submissions because that means that you kind of participate in it. You didn't just choose one image from, your 100,000 of library of images, that's what I'm thinking. That's what challenge is about for me personally. Jim Arcetti is asking, can you suggest a pro quality D series mid-range zoom lenses for FM3A? Well, D-series lenses are autofocus lenses, so they will go on FM3A, and you can focus them manually. You can put any D lenses on them effectively. The problem is, as we say, the problem is the focusing is not as great manually on autofocus lenses. It just doesn't feel as nice as manual focus lenses, if you see what I mean. So that's what it is. But technically, yeah, you can put like 2872.8D AFS. It will manual focus, and you can adjust the aperture. It will perform really well. That's probably would be my suggestion. 1735, 2.8, good choice, D lens. 2035, if you want a cheap option, 2.8 is a good kind of ultra wide angle choice. But if you're asking for mid range, I think it's 2870 2.8 D. Again, it's an autofocus lens that will go on manual focus body, manual focus feedback on the, while the ring is not going to feel as nice as a proper manual focus lens. That's what it is. Okay. Let's see. The drunk wedding photographer. Hello, David. Says, to see your neighborhood as world-class destination, pick up the book Film is Not Dead by Jonathan Canlas. And I definitely approve that submission. Finding these two things in the mundane, that's what it's all about here, I think. Jay Blue is recommending 7200 f45.6D lens to Jim. I agree with it. It's a bit on the longer end, of course, not mid-range, but also, yeah, quite a good option. Also, the 7300, the same, I think, 5.6 to 4.5 to 5.6 DED glass was also pretty good lens. Let's see. Terry Allen says, so type of public transport on the road for the challenge. So we're talking about trains, planes, automobiles, bicycles, skateboards, roller skaters, hoverboards. If you watch Back to the Future, could be an option. It's an interesting one. Let's write that down as well. What we call it? Type of public transport. Okay. So it's interesting how we have different suggestions, something from very abstract like light and dark to specifics like type of public transport. So, very interesting suggestion. Thank you. We'll consider them. Andy suggests give us a like, and that's going to be very useful. So if you haven't given us a like, that would be greatly appreciated because it pushes the live stream out. All right. Photographing Adventures is coming back. And he says Z50 Mark II at $909 would say 5Z Mark II will be higher than the current Z6 II. Yeah, so then what happens to that Z6 II? That's the question. Will they just discontinue it? Or it goes below? And if it goes below, it kind of looks weird with Z5 II with a 2 in the name, price higher than Z6 II, which is in the name, and in Nikon model hierarchy, the higher number, the better camera. You see that where the confusion comes in, that's where I think it's a challenge for Nikon, but potentially, that they may face. Who knows? If the camera is now next week, we'll probably find out very soon. Let's go further. John Hughes says, I think the price of Z50 Mark II, Z5 Mark II should be set at a low price point to allow school and colleges to get people using Nikon from the start. I see your point, but I also see the economical situation in, let's say, even looking at the UK, whether, we have a, what's called cost of life crisis. So, economy is not doing well. Everything costs a lot, and I think, unless Nikon doesn't want to make money, they can lower the price. You see, that's like everything has gone up in price quite significantly, and that's the problem with the retail having, problem now, because obviously people don't know what the economy is going to be doing in the next, let's say, 6 months. I think Labour government just announced the cuts as well, to the public spending and things like that. So when people are looking at the kind of, to spend money on the essentials, how much money we can spend, on expensive things. And they're, in a way, they're kind of luxury things. On anything that costs over £1,000, I think it's a luxury thing. So I think it's a challenge for Nikon to look at the kind of landscape of, economics and just to see how economy is doing in different countries and decide the price point. That's the thing. And we're not even looking at, things like tariffs that can happen any day in, let's say, in the United States. So all sorts of things considered. I think it's a kind of a challenging time for the company like Nikon to determine the price of the camera. So, but I'm sure they have the right people to do so. Hello, Robert from Portugal. Good to see you in the chat as well. Let's look at more of your comments. So, Prasanna is asking me about my thoughts on Fujifilm GFX100RF. Yeah, I have it as a kind of a point here. I know that some of you asked me this question in the chat last week as well. Well, it was me and Gray were discussing amateur photography awards. it's not a camera for me. However, I have a huge respect for Fujifilm for what they do, because they innovate. They innovate and they create the spaces, they create the niches they were not there. And this is very important, where the companies are playing safe. To have the company who create things that it may be not for them. Like, there's a lot of criticism for GFX100RF. No, IBIS is the big one. Our price is expensive, but then we're looking at like a cube price, and then it's all kind of fades in comparison, I think. Obviously the size of the camera, people hoping to get a slightly smaller camera, obviously, but I think it's small enough. Obviously, the lens is at f4, I think, so which is not wide aperture enough for a lot of people as well at this price point. In my opinion, I think they've done a really good job, and congratulations for them to do this. Again, I can bring Sigma with their camera that has been announced during the CP Plus. I think, again, it's an interesting innovation. It's not the camera maybe designed for us, but again, very good. As long as the companies innovate, they will push each other to do better. That's my personal opinion. I have GFX100S as my studio camera, and I use it as a DSLR scanning rig as well, because 100 megapixels, it's pretty good scanning size. So, I think their system, while being very slow, produces a very great detailed images with a high dynamic range. I think Nikon Z8 will outperform any GFX cameras in terms of lost focus speed, frame rate, you name it, and usability, and actually how many things it can shoot. But I think, it's quite interesting that GFX system exists, and having a little rangefinder camera. I know a lot of people compare it to film cameras, like what they had, the GA645 and things like this, I think it's a lot of money for a lot of people to buy a camera with a built-in lens. It's definitely a lot of money for me. It's not the camera for me. Maybe in 5 years down the road, where RF2 comes out. But it's very difficult for me to get surprised and excited about digital camera. That's how I put it. I primarily film shooter. So, I do use digital cameras. I don't get excited about them. There was an interesting comparison of one film photographer taking the same shots with a film camera and GFX100R, and out of the box, digital files just look lifeless to me. I know they have a lot of latitude, so with the right tools, you can make them look as good as film or even better, but from out of the box experience and the price, I preferred literally every single comparison image that was taken on film camera for me. That's the thing. That aside, I think, huge respect for Fujifilm to producing such camera. I think, I think Nikon should really look into companies innovating and create something not just going the same kind of trusted route and obviously pushing the specs, big respect for this, but creating something very interesting and very different from the offerings that other manufacturers offer. Really, that's kind of my thinking about it. So this is kind of my little rant on GFX100 RF FR. What's interesting to me as well on that note is Canon released their Powershot V1, which is their point and shoot camera for vloggers. It's not exciting to me as a camera, but it's interesting to see that Canon's coming back to point and shoot cameras. Do they see something we don't see as photographers? Do they see that the point-and-shoot market is, again, kind of coming back and it's kind of starting to grow a little bit? So therefore, there is demand for new models. Obviously, Nikon released their P1100 point-and-shoot camera. I would say it's not exactly a very pocketable point-and-shoot camera, but it's ultra zoom. But it's an interesting kind of trend that we start to see, and obviously GFX100FR is also a point-and-shoot camera. So there's a lot of things happening there. Maybe it is a trend that we need to look at. Again, will Nikon follow that trend? Let me know in the comments below. All right, let's look at more of your comments here. Argos says XP8 will come with Z9 Mark II, most certainly not before. I absolutely agree with you. Possibly Z9 Mark III. Well, different, it's interesting. Tom Hogan thinks that we're going to see XP7 Mark II or XP8, which is not going to be a completely new processor. It's going to be kind of a slightly faster XP7 with additional chips to help the speed, etc. Who knows? Who knows? But I think if the first camera will see XP8, not before, it's Z9 Mark II. But yeah, it could be another generation. Who knows? Maybe we'll go for XP 7.5. Let's go further. So Argus is asking Z5 II question: will it come with a partially stacked sensor or the same sensor as Z5? So we had the discussion about 20 minutes ago, saying I personally think that if it's Mini Z6 III and ZF, we're going to get it stacked. But I don't think it's no. Actually, you know what? I don't think it's going to be like if Z6 III is partially stacked. I think. I don't think this one is going to be stacked. I think it's going to be more of a ZF style, if you see what I mean. So I think it's not going to be stacked sensor. So because otherwise you're really kind of stepping on the toes of Z6 III. So that's my thinking behind it. Craig C believes that Z6 II will go out of production on the Z5 II release. Okay, interesting thought. Who knows? We'll find out hopefully soon. If it's next week announcement, according to rumors, maybe we'll get there. Randall says they are reducing the XP6 processor cameras, which should be better than the basic new entry Z5 Mark II. 1700 for Z7 II or Z6 II, that's why it's 1500. Well, the thing is, if Z5 Mark II is XP7, then it's already will outperform Z6 Mark II and Z7 Mark II in terms of autofocus performance. So that's where you're going to see, well, like, what's the value of Z6 II when Z5 II is out? That's where my question, that's kind of the question that's up for interpretation, if you see what I mean. Because when things like this happen, I try to see what, the lineup, and I try to see where the clashes are, what's is going to overlap. And then that's where I'm kind of, when I ask the questions, it's going to be like, okay, well, if Z5 Max is cheaper than Z6 II, what's the point of Z6 II? Unless, as Craig says, it's discontinued, unless the price point is lower. And then it creates another sort of confusion where Z6 II technically should be better because 6 is better than 5, and because we now have Z6 III, but we have Z5 Mark II. You see, they would have to do is probably call it Z5 Mark III and then just keep it in line with other cameras, so skip just the 2-gen full stop. So that way you will see, okay, yes, we have Z5 III, then Z6 III, then Z8 and Z9. Like, that may be a bit better, but I don't know. Like, I'm sure there are whole marketing discussion about this, have happened, and I'm sure they know better what to do there. I don't know anything about ZF firmware updates, Pierre. I know that we saw some firmware updates for, I think, Z6 III and Z8 cameras in the mid-March. It was a small update from what I remember, not a significant one. David Moscor says, I would think those zooms would be big or small for FM3A. Yes, that's the thing. They are. So if you want smaller, I don't think the D lenses are particularly exciting. I think that manual focus lenses on film will perform as well as the D lenses. Again, film is forgiving enough not to go for the latest glass. So, that's the beauty of it. If you ever go on Reddit to Unlog where people say, oh, I just put the 24-70 2.8G on my FM camera. Yes, I can't stop it down, but, the images look fantastic. Well, you're shooting with modern lens on film effectively. That's what it is, which is fully wide open 2.8 because you can't stop it down as well. So in this case, if you have to put the big, medium kind of mid-range glass, then I guess go for 28-70 2.8D. But there's all sorts of small mid-range zooms available in manual focus. There's not going to be optically as good, of course. But yeah, you got like 35 to 80, 35 to 105, 43 to something. They are smaller. They're not optically as good, but they are smaller for sure. All right, let's go further. Nigel likes his Z6 II. Nothing wrong with it, and I absolutely agree with you. There's nothing wrong with the camera that you own. You don't need another camera. That's the thing. It's all marketing. Andy is asking question, photographing the Blue Angels Airshow F-16 jets. Any suggestions to focus mode for the 850? Like generally, I like to, on those cameras. I mean, I haven't shot for a while, but I generally would go to like autofocus continuous, and I would choose a like dynamic, either small or medium. So you don't want to. You can technically cover the full range as well. It should perform well, but I would say if you go to the medium size of dynamic focusing, you should be fine. And obviously lenses, good choice. Hopefully you'll have a wonderful weather as well. All right, let's go further down the road. See if I answered all your questions here. Thank you very much, Randall. I appreciate it. He has a question. Nikon FTZ3 adapter to rule them all Nikon lenses. Well, who knows? Who knows? I personally think that Nikon should surprise us because at this point, like if they release this adapter, it's going to be a thing that will help. Like it definitely will get them extra points from the user base. Just for the like big respect that Nikon is supporting Nikon people, Nikon photographers from the early days, as well as their kind of current digital lineup system. I agree with you. David Liu says Fuji made a GSW 690, Texas Leica that had a fixed 28mm equivalent. So it's not a new concept. I agree with you. I personally have one. I have the GSW 690 Mark III. I don't know. It's not the wide. It's not the wide angle one. It's the other one. It's the mid one. I think it's got 40mm lens, if I'm not mistaken. Great camera, fully mechanical. If my Mamiya 7 dies because it's electronic and it's a slow ticking bomb, hopefully it lives another 50 years. But those Fuji cameras are fully manual, and I love them about that because you don't need a light meter, you don't need anything else. They just work, which is great. The problem there is obviously I don't like the comparisons of Fujifilms with the current medium format Fujifilms, because 33 by 44 millimeter sensors is not exactly 6 by 9 shooting area of film. That is, for me personally, not a direct comparison. That's why I'd rather shoot film, with those large formats, and I shoot medium formats a lot. I think it's not in terms of images, but majority of the important images are taken on medium format. Let's say this. So I know where they want to go with this, but I still believe in a larger physical size of the sensor. So until that, you just don't get the medium format look, in my opinion. I know it's a can of worms that we can open, but I'm not going to discuss depth of field now and things like this. I'm just saying that if you look at the images produced with those cameras, 6x7 camera, so let's say RZ, RBs, you name it, large format, medium format systems with a, not 645 format, but 6x6, 6x7, things like this. There's a certain look to them that a lot of full frame cameras or even current medium digital format cameras can't do. There's certain lenses that help with that. But there's a particular look that I like about those images, and I don't see them in current digital cameras. That's what it is. I'm not this is where I'm coming from, medium format look. I'm not going from technical side of things. So let's not discuss the depth of field and all sorts of things. It's not about this. I'm talking about the actual final result. And that's why, I look at it and I'm like, yeah, that's cool. That's nice. I have my GFX system, which I like, which I shoot commercially on for more kind of studio type of things or portraiture when I need to. I still have my film camera, let's say, for portraiture on that day, etc. So, but it's not the same look. It's not the same look. And at the end of the day, you like it or you don't like it. Again, we're talking about very personal opinion here. Not one is not better or worse, but it's a personal opinion, and that I like things that I like, and you like things that you like, and that's absolutely fine. That's the thing, And at the end of the day, I'm not trying to sway anyone's opinion about this or say I'm right and everyone is wrong. No, it's just I like the particular look of the images, And I know that if I see that look, I can be very close, say like, yeah, that looks like it's been taken on a medium format camera, film medium format camera. That's the thing. We're not even hitting 645 on medium format sensor while charging quite a lot for that. So, and that's kind of, I don't want to say it's a criticism, but it's definitely something that I hope we're going to see a larger physical size sensors. Megapixels, who cares? But just actual physical size of the sensor. That's, that's my personal opinion on this. Okay. Build Barista says Z5 IMO most likely will be ZF and the modern Z series jacket. That's one of the thoughts. I agree with you. Let's go further down. Ted Fellow says, Con, could you please thank you, Jan Lad, who served me yesterday for F2 cable release. Got it today, fantastic. Definitely, Ted, I will pass it on. We have quite a few new chaps started recently. One of them is AD, which I haven't met yet on the chat, but maybe I'll bring him one day. And another one is Fred as well. So he started this month, really bright chap, who's learning a lot about photography. So he had film cameras, he has a new digital Nikon, so we are kind of going through a boot camp, training camp, of kind of bringing him up to speed on all digital as well. So it's always, like I find it rewarding to train new people. Let's go further. Build Barista is also asking, I think Nikon should do a rangefinder Z or Z. I would be all in for FFZ Pro as competing against Fuji X Pro. What do you think? Well, we kind of raise this conversation every second week or so. I personally think, why not? I understand the challenges of releasing new set of lenses. That's kind of where the problem is. I understand that rangefinder mechanism is it's not easy to manufacture mechanism. That's why we would probably see a lot of rangefinders nowadays. In fact, we only see two companies to produce rangefinders, proper rangefinders with manual focus and, images lining up in the viewfinder. One is Leica, obviously, who discontinued their silver MP film camera. And I understand the black version, I think, is more popular because the black paint is shiny, is beautiful, which brass up nicely. The silver one, I guess on Sequoia it says they still have, I think, a main silver, which looks beautiful. But again, it's really depends on your personal opinion. The second company is the French company that makes those. What's a French rangefinder? Let me just Google it. I forgot the name. Pixie. That's the one. So that's all we have really, and I think that is the problem. If we would have a rangefinder mechanism available on all of cameras, like I love rangefinders. I'm a rangefinder user. I like film cameras. Is like got my Mia 7 like M4P. I love rangefinders. FM3 is there as well. So viewfinder functionality, but I just enjoy rangefinder user experience. So I would love to of course, Nikon to release a Nikon S, SD, call it, Nikon S Digital or something, would be absolutely amazing. I think the reality of it, unfortunately, is grim. I would be the first one in line just saving up, and putting pre-ordering, Because, for me personally, rangefinder, I'm a big fan of rangefinders. If you haven't used rangefinders, go get a rangefinder. The problem is as well with the rangefinders, try to get a good rangefinder body. Like, let's say, I personally prefer Leica rangefinder patches because they're square, rectangle, sharp edges, compared to, let's say, Nikon rangefinder in S system, which is kind of fuzzy round. So focusing with a, let's say, square patch with the sharp edges is much easier than, let's say, with a fuzzy patch, like on Fuji cameras as well. Like that Fuji 690 it's got this kind of little dot there, and it's sometimes, like on the bright side day, you find in low light conditions, it's a lot more difficult to focus. So a lot of people can try those rangefinders and find them not very good, and then they'll say, oh, all rangefinder cameras are bad. But try a rangefinder camera with a good rangefinder patch. That's my advice there. Thank you, Randall. Again, he says Nikon ZF at 1800 black or 1900 for color. Who knows? We may. Why not? Yeah, I think it's time for us to see a silver ZF. I agree with you, and probably 1800 for Z5 Mark II with SD cards on the side instead of in the battery well. So ZF has two memory cards. One is the one micro SD. They could go the same way, or they can have one card, or they can have two SD slots as well. So if it's based more on a traditional type of body like Z6 IIs and Z5 IIs, then I don't see why won't we have two standard SD slots on the side. But if it's a let's say certain body change and it's different shape, etc., then they may have it from the bottom like Nikon ZF. Who knows? But it's definitely interesting. It's definitely interesting. I agree with you. Let's go further. We're going to be wrapping up soon because it's been an hour. But I'll try to answer all your questions before I go. Let's see if I haven't forgotten anything. Oh yes, photography challenge. Before I go any further, start a poll. April photography challenge topics. All right. So what are we having? So did we have wildlife? Yes, let's do wildlife. Then your hometown. I feel like wildlife is just too generic. I think your hometown definitely sounds a lot better. Like it's definitely more specific. So maybe we should have a wildlife with a twist. Wildlife crawling creatures. All right, let's do this. I'm just brainstorming here. Your hometown. And then again, trail photography is too of a wide topic. Let's go light and dark. All right, 3 options. Crawling creature, not even wildlife. We're going to call them crawling creatures. Your hometown. And light and dark. So 3 different topics for you. Choose which one you would like us to have a challenge on. So I'm going to start the poll. Let me know. Which one do you think you want to participate in? All right. And while we're voting for this, I'm just going to quickly go down, scroll down again your comments. Nigel, yes, got it there. Saw it now. J Blue is asking, do you foresee a Nikon producing a video focus hybrid camera using red sensors? It seems logical to me, but I am a video novice. I think it's a given. It's just the question is when. My prediction is that we will see red cameras as usual. Those are, cutting edge, high expensive cameras for cinematographers. I think we'll see a Nikon line of cameras for video work with a Nikon brand, or they call it Nikon X-Red or something. I think they'll start with one. They will see two, later on. I mean, we just saw the 24-135 lens, f4 designed for videos. I think it's first in line of the lenses. So I personally see we definitely will see cameras. Maybe they're going to be marketed differently. Maybe they'll be marketed for vloggers or creatives. Maybe we'll see a dedicated vlogger camera like Z30, but Z3, let's say, with a full frame sensor. Maybe we'll see videographers' cameras. That's the thing. But the beauty of Nikon cameras in general, current lineup, is that they all perform very well at everything, basically. They're fantastic video cameras. You look at Z8, Z6 III, Z9, they do stills as well as video, absolutely no issue whatsoever, And so the push that Nikon has made in the video space, I think even they don't know how to market, because in my opinion, that those cameras are very capable cameras and they definitely compete with a lot of Sony and Canon offerings. It's just we probably don't know about it because Nikon doesn't make a big thing out of it. So that's my thinking about it. So I personally think, J Blue, it's just a matter of time. All right. Well, your hometown wins. You hometown, of course. I know how to spell. So your hometown wins this poll. I'm going to end it at the whopping 55%. So this challenge starts right now after this live stream. Send us photographs of your hometown. Your hometown could be anywhere where you live. It could be a field. It doesn't need to be a town or a city. It could be a village, a field where you live. Show us the place. It's again, it's open to interpretation, as I say. It could be a scenery, landscape, cityscape. It could be environmental stuff. It could be a portraiture. It could be a macro photography. It could be flowers. Could be crawling creatures, all sorts of things. What I need from you is to post those images, to email me to media@grayesofwestminster.co.uk, media@grayesofwestminster.co.uk. The images should be under 10 megabytes. Don't send me your RAW files. Don't send me your T files. Send the images that are good for 1080p live stream. So I don't need 24 megapixels, 6,000 pixels wide images. Do about 2,000 pixels, wide or tall, and that's good enough. Ideally, I would like to know the settings, the equipment you used, and if you have a story behind it. It would be absolutely fine. It would be absolutely amazing, because the reason why is, well, it's your hometown. So tell me the story. And we're going to go through this, hopefully, at the end of the month. So let's say if I have to put a pencil in it, let's just say, I'm just going to open my calendar here and let's see. So the last week of April is 25th no, that's April. Yeah, so 25th of April. Looks like it. So let's do it like, let's say end of challenge is basically maybe, no, you know what? We're going to run this challenge till the end of April. So it's the last submission date is 30th of April. And we're going to do live stream on 2nd of May. And that is going to be where we're going to show your images. Again, depending on how many submissions, I'll try to show all of them. But if you come to the point where, unfortunately, there's just too many submissions, then we'll have to, cut some of them. So, but let's see. There's no winner. We want to see your work, your creativity. It can be taken on any camera. Could be film, digital, camera phone, wet plate, large format, you name it. So do this. And then again, I'll remind you every week, and we can do, we can discuss it all together. But thank you everyone for joining me today. It's been an absolute blast. If you have any more questions, do let me know in the comments below under this video, and hopefully we'll answer them next week. But in the meantime, you've got a challenge to do. So grab your camera, load it with film or memory card, get out. In London, there's nice weather. So go take some photographs about your hometown.